We are here and we are strong. Let's be counted as we move on. Make a difference, change lives as we tell our different stories. We are capable, beautiful. We are born to do great things. We're unstoppable, incredible, 'cause we're differently abled, differently.
Hello there, and a warm welcome on Able Differently, a program where we take charge.
The small things we do in our lives are the most important, and today we focus on the need to make small improvements as we move along the way. I'm your host, Jen Theuri.
And I'm Benson Mungai. Karibu.
'Cause we're differently abled, differently.
Mercy became able differently at a very tender age. She's however determined to make small differences every day. Take a look.
Just like any other child, Mercy was born normal, but as she clocked 5 years, she fell sick, which resulted to her disability.
The time I was young and growing up, I was a hearing person just like any person. But later, at the age of 5, I began to develop pain around the ear. I was taken to hospital. I stayed in the hospital for 2 years, but they never found the problem or corrected the problem. So that is how I became deaf.
Having other siblings with the same condition as hers helped them accept her, unlike other families.
She was born here in Rongai, and in her family they have 3 children who are hearing, and the other 3 are deaf. Hearing are 4, and the deaf are 4. All of them are 8. One of them died, who is hearing. Now there are 7 of them. I don't know, because by the time I was becoming deaf, I was 5 years old, so I have no experience. My mother had several challenges of deaf children in communicating with them, and as a result of that, she had known sign language. She was signing very well. So issues of her complaining or reaction of shock, I really don't know.
Schooling for Mercy kicked off well as she attended Mumia School for the Deaf. Being far away from home, she had to adapt living on her own. This brought in positive impact as she learned more sign language, she says.
When I became deaf, my parents began to search for a school where I would go and learn with other deaf. So I went to Mumia's deaf school, and I started from class 1 up to class 8. The learning and teaching was a lot of confusion. Later on, I got used to the signing system, and I went up to class 8. Then I joined high school in the same institution. I have both primary and high school. So that's where I went to school. The most challenging part of school life was communication before I got to understand more a lot about sign language.
Career choice for her was driven by her interest of basketball, which she learned at Mumia School for the Deaf. This has brought her glory as she has participated on various games and got some awards.
The time I finished Form 4, I wanted to either go to learn more about the Bible. And later on, I chose to do sports, specifically basketball. So I've been involved in sports, and both of them, sports and also Bible training. But in the area of work, I haven't found really work to do, but mostly in sports, training, hoping that later on I'll find something more important.
On a day-to-day life, Mercy goes through various challenges.
I can say that as a deaf person, I have several challenges. First of all, the area of work, finding work to do, or getting money to pay rent or feed the family is a challenge. Sometimes I'll find people supporting here and there, but that is not really what I want. And also at the same time, my husband does not have a stable job.
Mercy has been married for the past 1 year now. Communication to them is not a hurdle as both of them are hearing impaired.
We met in sports, and he was playing football and I was in basketball. Then later on we started having conversations, we became friends, we began courting and later got married. The passion I have for life, specifically in the area of sports. And every time I wake up, I have passion to train and get involved in sports. So whenever I am training with other people and involved in sports, I don't get into stress and thinking too much about life.
To those able differently, this is what she had to say.
There are different things that I would want to tell the disabled out there, that don't get mad or be sad about life. It depends on the advice and words of encouragement from people who have gone through the same.
'Cause we're differently abled, differently.
Let's take a short break and we'll be right back with more. Don't go too far.
'Cause we're differently abled, differently. 'Cause we're differently abled, differently.
Moses Shira became visually impaired after a surgery. However, he is determined to make a difference in his own small way. Take a look.
Moses Shira's life took the worst turn after a laser surgery gone wrong left him visually impaired.
After hustling for a while, I got a job in 2015 in Nakuru. So when I was working there, that's when my sight got really worse and I had to go back to the hospital. And that's why they told me, Moses, it's true your sight is getting worse, but then we can correct it, we can make it better, So we'll do a laser procedure on you, and you'll be good to go. You can go back to work and everything will be okay, everything will be good. So I accepted. And later that year, that is in 2015, November, December, they did a laser procedure on me, but unfortunately they scarred my retina in the process. And that's how I lost my sight.
The former graphic designer had been suffering from glaucoma since childhood.
I had glaucoma from way back when I was a kid, but it hadn't been discovered that it was glaucoma, because glaucoma is the kind of disease that has to take toll before it's realized what it is. It has to make some damage that its consistency can be labeled now. This is this kind of disease, So it was first detected when I think was it 95, 96 there. I was in nursery, but then I continued with medication. So I used to go for clinics. I had been going for clinics since then until 2006. That's when it was now announced that this is glaucoma, but then it had already messed up my right eye, and I had glasses, so everything seemed okay since the left eye was still okay.
Loss of sight was not an easy thing for Shira, as it caused him so much pain and trauma.
It was stressful. I wouldn't want to go back. I couldn't even tell my family. I stayed for days, stressed out. At times I could even just faint, have a blackout because of thinking so much, and I'm not eating, just drinking water, that's it. Yeah, I started having insomnia because I couldn't sleep at night. I could go without sleep for days, and then maybe on the fourth day, I could just have a blackout and sleep for like 36 hours straight.
Having not gathered enough courage to share this demise with anyone, Shira kept the news to himself.
It was a shock because at first my mom was coming for a get-together later. That's now in 2016, around June there, and she asked if we could meet up in town. And with this car, I didn't want to tell her. I didn't tell her. So I went to Tao. Muscle memory. I know how Tao looks. I know the streets and all. So it hadn't covered the eye, in a complete kind of way. So I could still see people, So I could alight a matatu and follow someone on the street. If he deviates now, I follow the next one because I know where I'm going. So the problem was now stumbling on the street because of some pavements which are, uneven and all. Yeah. At times I could bump into someone and they wouldn't realize I can't see because I have glasses and I don't have a cane. So, they'll just sometimes react, insult me, but then I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm heading, and I had still not accepted that I'm losing my sight.
He was in a state of denial for some time, and thereafter visited another hospital which confirmed his condition.
We went to another hospital for a second opinion. Unfortunately, they confirmed our fears. Yes, my sight was getting worse, and yes, I still had a scar, and there's nothing that can be done. So again, now it was back to square one, trying to figure out now what next.
Since time is a healer of all wounds, Shira later on learned to accept his situation with the help of a training center he attended.
I learned to accept my situation, and I learned it after joining Kenya Society for the Blind. It's a rehabilitation center in what is it called? Nairobi West, and that's where I did adaptive technology, where you're taught how to use computers afresh, now using the audio softwares. So whatever you're doing on the computer, it responds in audio. So you can be able to operate a computer like any other person, And that was in June to December 2017. But now in 2018, I decided, now I have the courage to actually, if I did that, then I could go back and do something else. I could even pursue another career.
Despite the challenges that come with his condition, he is full of hope that things will get better.
When I alight from a matatu, let's say at my our stage, I'll know how to go, where to head. If I'm dropped maybe in the middle of the street, the way sometimes the matatus usually say gari mwisho, all I need to do is just to know where I am. If someone tells me you are in this road next to this and this building, I'll know where to go, or how to make my way to wherever I'm going. The society can only be fair to you only so much, but it gets better when you accept yourself. Because when you don't accept yourself, then you find that even moving around is an issue. You know, you feel very concerned when people are talking behind your back. Oh, that guy used to see, now he's using a cane, he's blind. You know, but once you accept the facts, fine, I can't see, I need the cane, I need my life to go on. You don't mind. Whoever is talking, let them. Yeah.
'Cause we're differently abled, differently.
AFUB and ADA are in the process of mobilizing African countries to ratify the Disability Protocol. Take a look at that story.
We take note of the effort that has been made by us Africans in ensuring that persons with disabilities realize their rights.
The African Disability Protocol is a set of rights that seek to solve African problems that affect persons with disabilities.
So after the ratification of the African Disability Protocol, we believe that as persons with disability in Africa, not only women or the men, but also young persons with disabilities will have equal opportunities when it comes to employment, when it comes to our environment, because we kind of feel like we are discriminated and we are left behind. And we also feel like our rights as persons with disability will be respected by everyone, since now we have a tool that is for us and which like gives us the voice to air out our concerns like so loud and clear.
The draft has several articles which outline specific issues different from the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities.
Together with other instruments, when you look at the protocol, and particularly the mother instrument that it comes from, there's an obligation upon states to recognize the right of persons with disability and to undertake to adopt legislative and other measures. And legislative measures means particularly putting into place legal frameworks, adopting laws that promote, protect, and advance the rights of persons with disability.
Our day-to-day challenges are different from those in developed countries, from inaccessible facilities, like we have no ramps. Even at the city center, if you just go, you see there are no ramps. Like when we also face like kind of discrimination when it comes to transportation and all. So we feel with the African Disability Protocol, it will ensure that these issues, like we adhere to them, because at least when you go somewhere and you see there is no ramp, you can say, okay, in the African Disability Protocol, there is a provision that states you should provide a ramp, or there is a provision that states you should provide a sign language interpreter. So I believe with the protocol, it's going to be like it's going to make good changes and positive changes in our community.
The African Union of the Blind has been working to push for the ratification of this protocol so that it can be used legally in Africa.
African Union of the Blind is one of stakeholders in this long fight for our rights. We are specialized to work for blind and partially sighted people in Africa. We are in 53 countries currently, and yes, we have challenges, we have successes, but we are here also to share what we have been doing in Africa together with the other CSOs present in this meeting. And I'll just to agree with what those who spoke before me, whatever policy comes out, whatever framework toward people with disability comes out, is something which we have to take it serious because it has its own target.
The new strategy aims to mainstream so that we are not just talking about a strategy that is disability specific. We want to see even within the APRM and its reporting mechanism having aspects of disability.
Together with the African Disability Alliance, they have organized conferences in different African countries, Kenya being one of them.
When I was I was looking at the list of participants. I noted that about 12 countries are here represented. And amongst these 12 countries, quite a number of them have laws that address particularly the issue of disability. Let me say Ghana, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, Djibouti, Uganda, Zambia, and Kenya, our host country. But the extent to which there's a parallel or equal protection for the rights of persons with disability can be debatable. You will have some aspects that are more protected under the Kenyan law compared to other laws. Therefore, there's a need for harmonization to ensure that indeed the rights of persons with disability are protected everywhere in Africa and the same way, at the same level.
Recently, the Pan-African Parliament converged in Kenya to discuss the same.
You know, in Africa, people believe that those who have disability is a curse from God or something happened in the family. So I believe any kind of policy we draft, any kind of policy we implement or ratify, it will help to change that mentality.
Thereafter, a 2-day conference session followed to drum the message further.
Good laws are very important, extremely important. And therefore, as far as we are concerned, especially vulnerable groups, they require to be protected. The way we protect other people who are not vulnerable, we should protect the vulnerable 10, 20 times more because of their vulnerability.
According to the members present who represented different organizations, the move was towards a positive change.
With the ratification of the ADP, I believe before people were not aware of their rights as persons with disability. Like you felt if somebody was infringing on your right, it was right for them to do it. But now with the charter, we believe that things will now be on an equal basis. No one will be discriminated despite their disability, despite their gender in the society, and despite their status. So with the protocol, we know it's going to bring good positive changes in our community in Africa. We normally hear good things about the US, UK, they have accessible facilities for everyone. But when you come to Africa, it's a different story. But with the protocol, I believe that we'll see good changes in our community and equal rights will be provided for all.
So our position has been, as an organization, to ensure persons with disabilities, and for that matter, DPOs present here, everybody contribute into the document to make it very complete. We want a participatory approach. So what we have been doing is to make sure we go from one region to the other, and to make sure we invite people to come and contribute into the document before it is finalized.
AFUB looks forward to the ratification of the protocol.
The African Disability Protocol is final. There's nothing we can add because it has been adopted by the AU. This is because it went through a lot of treaty processes which we are done with it. So it's left with African governments to ratify, and we are looking at 15 ratification.
Countries that have already committed have been urged to go forward and ratify, as only at least 15 countries are required to make it a legal binding document.
We need to encourage partnerships. It can come from individuals, from international partners, CSOs, DPOs, but also individual governments that are contributing, each and every one, to the success of this protocol and agreements that has been at least signed at the AU level, at times also at head of states level. And GIZ, as a part of this journey, is very proud of being part of this journey. And we are also very glad to see now the African Disability Protocol is now also going into the direction of a model law, which can also give a very good guidance for the national level from which, you know, important laws can be derived. And I would like to also thank the Pan-African Parliament for the successful drafting of this law.
The government is doing something, like we have persons with disability representation in parliament, we have people like at the ministry, they try as much as possible to include the 5% at least coming from persons with disability, and they also target women. So I feel the government is kind of getting into that area, but still it's a bit slow. So we urge them to at least to ratify the protocol. When they ratify the protocol, I feel like they have removed like a big load on some of our shoulders, because we believe with the ratification of the protocol, it's everything, and like it's going to be a big step.
'Cause we're differently abled, differently.
Let's take a look at the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability.
Article 6 of the UN Convention states that state parties recognize that women and girls with disabilities are subject to multiple discrimination, and in this regard shall take measures to ensure the full and equal enjoyment by them of all human rights and fundamental freedom.
In our quote of the day, we take a look at a Swahili saying that says, haba na haba hujaza kibaba. Jen, what's your take on this?
Simply put, Ben, it basically means that in whatever, small ways you make, a contribution every other day, those small things that you do every day in everyday life is what builds up to, a higher goal. So don't despise whatever small things you're doing or whatever input you're doing every other day, because at the end of the day it will lead to success.
Well put, Jenny.
That's where we end the show today. See you again next week, same time, same place. I'm your host, Jen Theory.
And I'm Benson Mungai. Bye.